Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, or Honor Among Thieves, I don't know. This Dungeons and Dragons is a 2023 fantasy comedy. It is directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. They both directed Game Night and Vacation together. Fair enough, they've got some comedy movies under their belt. Let's try squeeze in some fantasy action, you know. The actors are really good. We've got Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Sophia Lillis, and Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper appears like once. Chris Pine is one of those AAA actors. He's been in a bajillion movies. You might recognize him from Star Trek, Wonder Woman, and he voiced in some of the new Spider-Verse movies. Michelle Rodriguez is in the newest Fast and Furious movies. She was in Avatar as well. Sophia Lillis, you might recognize her from It. And Bradley Cooper, he showed up for one little scene where he was a really small guy. He voices Rocket in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I have reviewed number 3 in the description. So, what's this movie about? The world is set in, I'm assuming, the Dungeons and Dragons era of knights and magic and dragons and dungeons. Wait, obviously, shit. Anyway, we meet Edgin and Holger escaping a prison. Edgin left his daughter Kira in the hands of his friend Forge while he was in prison. Turns out that Forge is evil. Bummer. He's the cliche, talkative villain that manipulates Kira into hating her father, Edgin, so he can have her to himself. Still don't know why Forge wants Kira, but anyway. Now they need to plan a way to defeat Forge, but obviously, these two are useless without a ragtag team of misfits. They got a magician in their team, which sucks at magic. Obviously, his character arc is him getting better at magic. Then they recruited a druid that can transform into animals. The druid lady is the magician's ex. Super awkward, but it's the nerd doesn't stand a chance against the hardy cliche, but this time she's just a furry. An example of the bad writing, the elf druid lady talks shit about how bad the plan is and has no interest in defeating Forge. Then she turns around and goes into a sad backstory about how Forge fucking affected her people, and then she suddenly agrees to join the teams. Like, where were you going with all that? Okay. I've got to mention the graveyard scene where they dig people up for information. It was funny, and then it got repetitive, and I'm like, okay, I see where there was potential, you know? They meet this guy, Zenk, and he escorts them to a helmet that they need. I just want to let you know that Zenk is a smart guy. He catches everyone up on historical events hundreds of years ago, if not thousands of years ago. And he knows secrets like where the helmet is. So when he took things too literal for some funny dialogue, it's just not funny. Egan says that he doesn't trust Zenk and that it's got something up his sleeve. Zenk responds and says, the only thing up my sleeve is my arm. Contrast this to Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, who is always a complete idiot. So it's hilarious that he also takes everything literally, because we know he's stupid. In this, Zenk, we know he's a genius, so why is he taking things literally? It doesn't make sense, and it's not funny. They then come across brain eaters, or whatever they're called. The more intelligent the prey, the more likely they are to strike. We see this coming from a mile away. They walk right past the group, therefore indirectly calling them stupid. At this point, I realized what I was getting into, and I was hoping that it was going to end soon, but fuck, it's more than 2 hours long. I'm stuck here for a while. The team saying, oh, screw this, I'm going home. Me too, you suck. And oh no, the team's falling apart. Then Edgar, the fearless leader, says a cool speech and everyone is back on board. This is another cliche, and we all see it a mile away. So, the heist commences, and oh no, it was all a trap. We need to make this movie longer for some reason. We hear the cringiest evil laugh on the planet when the daughter turns out to be the witch in disguise during the revealing of all the traps. I hope I can get a clip of this. It's really bad. Typical stupid villain move. Instead of killing them right there, they enter our heroes into the arena to fight. Yeah, you know what? Let's not kill them. Let's go send them to the arena where they have a chance to come back and kill me again. Okay. The only slightly cool thing in this movie were trap chests. You know, this chest that you loot and it's actually a creature that tries to eat you. That would be cool. I would have liked that. There is only one, which I'm bummed out about. It's badly CGI'd, and it's in the most random spot. It's in the maze that pops up from the ground in the arena. They make the arena fights fair by putting magic suppression cuffs so that magic people can't win immediately. Right. Oh, and then they go under the arena and she uses her magic. What happened to the magic suppression cuffs? No explanation at all. Did they tear it off? I don't understand. It's just stupid. They also don't spend long in the arena. They only do the maze thing, and then they don't even fight anything. It's such a huge waste because, okay, arena, you're going to fight waves of enemies. No, there's going to be a maze that comes up, and there is a creature that chases you in the maze, and then you'll escape immediately. What? What was all that? So they obviously escape everything unscathed, and they defeat Forge with a potato. I wish I was making this up. They throw a potato at this dude. And then the distribution of wealth thing to foil the villain's plan was also dumb. That would have never actually worked. But anyway, I'm looking way too deep into this. There's just a lot I need to cover, just to show you guys how bad this is. So then, the team battle the witch, final boss. She's overpowered as shit, and she can do almost anything, including stopping time. How are they going to defeat this evil villain? Obviously, she gets defeated by the daughter and her invisibility thing. And another cliche, one of the team gets stabbed, and there's nothing they can do. And she dies. Big funeral. Just kidding. What the... You fucking idiot. Obviously, the item that they were fighting for the whole movie, to save, what's his name, Edgin's wife, they use that to save her. Because the friendship bonds that they're making the whole way, / there's a lot of sexual tension that they call out throughout the movie. Fuck you. There's also a fireworks at the end of the movie cliche. There is also a, instead of going our separate ways, let's stay as a team cliche. And the nerdy guy gets the hot girl he wanted at the end cliche. And there's a post-credit sequence, and it sucks. And that's the movie. Yeah, it took a bit of a spiral at the end there, but it's like they wanted to squeeze in as much horribleness as they could at the end. I did some digging, and they actually tried. Apparently the cast played a few rounds of Dungeons & Dragons, the actual board game, before they started working on the movie. That was actually cool. So if a movie is so bad, I actually can't just summarize them in notes. I usually go scene by scene, which is what I did. But additional notes, they were singing. I hate singing. They mentioned Baldur's Gate. I will bring that up in my side rants at the end. There are lame action scenes everywhere. It's really boring moves and the typical fighting that you always get. The CGI is also awful. I don't understand why CGI looks so bad nowadays, really. The writing and the plot is also really lame. I went through as much as I can, but I'm leaving out all of the terrible one-liners and the unfunny dialogue, which there's plenty of. I wish I could go through every single line. Speaking of, this movie tries very hard to be funny, and it's not. The comedy of someone saying something weird or serious, and then they look around like, what the hell? Super awkward. We've seen this before, where it's better executed. Great example, Guardians of the Galaxy. That is funny. This is not funny. I watched this movie and realized, oh, it's one of those, and patiently waited for it to be over. It's what Marvel does. It's the safe thing. It's an action movie with as much comedy as they can squeeze in. Here, it feels like they just took the Dungeons & Dragons IP and they just was like, what can we do with this? Let's do that. And they made like a mediocre movie or something. It feels like all of the other modern Disney Marvel movies that they've done hundreds of times, by the way. And the thing is that these movies try too hard. You can't put a sci-fi setting, medieval world, sad backstory, family drama, supervillain things, and betrayals amongst the villains. There's romance. There's double unrequited romance. There's a heist. And then they squeeze in as much comedy as possible. It's way too much. They like try to put everything in, which is why none of the things that they put in actually stand out. And that's what makes this movie shit. What's even more disappointing is that if you didn't know when this movie was made, it would feel like an early 2000s movie, but unfortunately, it was made in 2023. You know what else was made in 2023? Oppenheimer. Get the fuck out of here. Why should I watch this movie? And with that all being said, I give this movie a 6 out of 10. This movie was a flop all around the board. I can't pinpoint where they went wrong in particular, only that the script needs a massive overhaul. You win some, you lose some, I guess. I think some people will like this movie. I just didn't. I found it just, I don't know, boring. Side rant. In this movie, someone mentioned Baldur's Gate, and my girlfriend played Baldur's Gate. She loves Baldur's Gate. I played it for a couple hours. It was way too much for me, so I just didn't end up finishing it. So me being a gamer, I thought, wow, that's a cool reference that they mentioned Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate, the game, came out and won awards. And then as far as I know, this movie came out after that or something. Anyway, no, it turns out that Dungeons & Dragons has its own lore, and there's a lot going on. I need to unpack this one day, you know. But that's probably why the game lasted so long. I mean, the board game. You get something as big as, what's that crap? Stranger Things. Yeah. You get Stranger Things. They referenced that, and they played the game in the movie, and that blew up. And I think that turned people back onto Dungeons and Dragons. Whether they played it or not in the past, people started playing it again. I don't think this movie did that, but it's just interesting to note. I didn't know that a board game had lore. That's crazy. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.